Oh, hey guys, welcome back to NFT Hype. We have Ben Fairbank or Benny Fairbank from RedFox Labs, the creator of those awesome cogs that we all love. Now, welcome Ben or Benny. This morning I heard on the Discord that you rather Benny. However, you said that people call you Ben. You got to watch out for, right?
Yeah, I always say that people that call me Ben are either my people asking for money or trying to collect money, or I'm trouble with the law, um, or a very angry mother. Everybody else calls me Benny.
Nice.
Tell us a little bit about cogs and how you came to know about wax.
Yeah, so Kogs is effectively a reimagined version of the '90s phenomenon Pogs, or Tarzos, or wafers, or they were called different names all around the world. But Pogs actually was a passion orange guava, a type of fruit juice in Hawaii, and you used to get these little lids, like milk lids, with different designs on them, and kids could stack them and then use a heavier disc to flip them over, and whoever can flip them upright would win. And this caused many schoolyard brawls and fights, and many a collection. People would carry around collections in their bags, and I don't know. When I was a kid, you used to get rolled for your shoes, but back in the day, you used to get rolled for your poles. So when we H1Z1 and PlanetSide 2, and said, what should we do? He started saying, we should build these blockchain games that are effectively leading edge AAA games. And I said, blockchain just can't do that yet. It's not capable. And so we went back to the drawing board and we came up with this simple concept. Then as far as why wax, or how do we put it onto wax, wax is clearly the front runner as far as the NFTs are concerned. And then we started looking into the marketplaces and places like atomichub.io, and how these, they had the tools like Waxplorer. Where we've been working and what we've been dealing with, we haven't had those access to these types of tools. We haven't had the speed of these transactions. We haven't had NFTs that are actually there, and we haven't had the type of people that are involved in wax and behind wax around us. So we thought to ourselves, what better place to go and start there? And I know it's really early in the piece, but we saw it as not being any other option.
Cool. That's good to know. Mike, did you want to shoot off with a question or two? I know you're fairly new to cogs.
Well, I was going to ask a follow-up on that. So you guys didn't consider any other chain first, like Dapper or anything else like that? You went straight for wax?
Well, we started building the game. We wanted to make the game 100% on, like 100% logic on chain. So we started building the game 18 months ago on Komodo, purely based on the fact that we could get it on a mobile version. We were experienced with the technology. So this was like where the game side of things came in. And then as far as like looking at other chains and all the rest of it concerned, we hadn't done that. We were our hand was kind of forced, which is a good thing, when it came to the production of the NFTs, and it made us look at the technology, because obviously you go where there is going to be attention, where there is going to be traction, where there is going to be an audience. And, you might say, well, you could have done any type of Ethereum related or ERC related NFT, because you've got OpenSea and you've got these marketplaces. The fact is, the market's so small at the moment. Doesn't matter whether you're on OpenSea or wherever you are, you're at the very beginning. So where you've got to go is where transaction costs make sense, where it's easy to build, where you've got your Marvels and your Capcoms and all of these types of people. They don't just sit on boards at companies and say, oh, we're just here for the fun of it. They come across because they say, we think there's something to this movement, and this is the place we've all landed. I don't see them landing in other places. So this is...
I agree.
Yeah, so it's kind of like something's happening, right? And everybody's got opposing and different views, and we think we are early enough that if you come in with a concept that's good and you build an audience now at this particular point in time, then when the flood or the masses do come into seeing how useful NFTs are in games and other other things, I think we'll be very well positioned, and I think that will largely be due to the fact that we had such an easy on-ramp.
Excellent. So I never ever played with Kogs as a kid, or Pogs,
Yeah.
and I have absolutely no idea of what the whole basic premise is. So could you explain sort of the basic rundown of Kogs in, say, a 10-year-old manner for me?
Okay. So basically, a 10-year-old version would be, you've got a series of round disc-shaped objects. Some of them are very, very common, and there's a lot of them. Others, if you've got one of them in your collection, you're kind of the cool kid. You're kind of the person who's the envy of everybody else. Now, in a physical game, they don't have any special powers, doesn't make them any better, but like any collectible, the rarer that it is, the more sought after it is, and the more wow factor it has. So that makes it even more of a real task or a challenge if you have to risk that. So what you do is you take a set, let's just say it's 10. You take a set of cogs along, you put them all face down. You put all of the pictures face down. Then what you do is you grab a much heavier disc called a slammer. Now the slammers are really sought after. They're really sought after. And they can be 8 balls, in our case Satoshis, jagged edge, they can be all sorts of cool and funky looking concepts. And then what you do is when you put your discs down, you take it in turns and you start with one of your slammers, hold it above the stack of discs and whack it as hard as you possibly can, and whatever flips upright, so face up, you as the whacker get to pull into your stack. They're yours. Okay. Then you add more to the pile face down, and then the other person has their shot. Now, when you hit it, sometimes they might all scatter, but none of them come face up. So you don't get to keep any of them. If you get the whole lot of, if the whole lot of them turned over face up, you get to keep them. So the idea is there has to be an element of skill involved in how high you hold the slammer, how much force you throw it down, what the angle is. So this is very important stuff in trying to win these cogs. Now, so that's the basic premise. Now, if you've played Magic the Gathering or any of these types of card games, the only reason
I actually have something similar that we played as a kid, and it was, I don't know if you ever did this, but we used to line up hockey cards against the wall, and these hockey cards were probably like I must have been 5, and so like I probably was like throwing Wayne Gretzky's at the freaking wall, and Paul Coffey's and all these like cool rookie cards, right? And we would line them up against the wall on an angle, and you had to hit them, same thing, so that they would land face up, right? And the hard thing was to hit them on the top so that they would slide down, rather than hit them on the bottom so that they would end up face down, right? So very similar concept.
Actually, many people played many versions of Cogs, and one of Pogs, and one of them was throw them against the wall, and whoever stops the closest to the wall wins. So there's so many variations of how you can play it. But with the Magic the Gathering and all the rest of it, the reason it didn't take off in the beginning until Wizards of the West Coast got involved is because people said, hey, I've got all these cool cards. I'm not going to risk them. I don't want to play them and lose them in a tournament. Like this is this is hard to get. I don't want to do this. So
no one plays the Black Lotus, right?
Exactly.
Black Lotus stays in the deck forever.
Exactly. So if you've got the equivalent to the Black Lotus in our first edition is like a foil Satoshi or a foil 8-ball slammer. Now, what we've done is created 3 versions of the game. So there's a play for keeps, a play for fun, and then a tournament where the winner of the tournament wins prizes. Now, play for keeps is going to be hard in some countries because they'll say it's a form of gambling, or kids can't play this because kids are using their parents' credit cards to buy stuff, and then they're losing it, and then they're racking up huge bills. So we've got to be very responsible with how we roll it out in the different countries. And that's
we call that pink slips here.
Exactly.
Pink
exactly.
Slips. Yeah. Exactly. So racing for cars, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So we'll I'm sure a lot of that's going to go on, especially in Southeast Asia, especially in countries where gambling's illegal. If we say you can't play it, they'll find a way to play it.
VPN.
Exactly. But the other way that we go about things is Kogs actually stands for Keys to Other Games. So
Right.
the Slammer game is just the first game. There's going to be multiple games that you can play them in and across.
Very cool.
Yeah,
I know
more on
that
that.
Nifty Wizards actually has talked about integrating them as well. So that could be another interesting angle. Like I actually bought a bunch of the sword ones just in case they get included.
Well, the actual possibilities for integration are massive, which is great. But one of the things that we noticed is that a lot of the games that are on Play Store, for example, they say, A, we don't have a monetization model. B, there's no way to sort of, we just pay server costs and we've got hundreds of thousands of people playing, but we can't afford to keep the servers open. There's no economy. There's no people coming in and trading or playing or tournaments, and we can't get sponsorship. And it's a good game, but we can't, there's nothing we can do. So we turned around and sort of said, how do we make it that we have a bunch of games, and if you spend hundreds of hours leveling up, ranking up and all the rest of it, and you say, I'm done with this game, how do you take something away with you of value? And how do you pack it up and take it to another game and say, hey, I'm kind of a big deal over here. What does that get me over here? And there needs to be some sort of recognition, and there needs to be some sort of reward for all the time and effort you put in. And that's why we started to build this economy out.
Very cool.
I got a question about like when you play for keeps. When you play for keeps, does the opponent bring in, like, could he bring in like commons and I have like an ultra rare in there? How do you make that fair?
Yeah, so ultimately a lot of the gameplay will be done on the lower levels, but the object or the idea is to make sure that the stacks are equal. So someone can't come in and say, I'm using all commons and you use all ultra rares. But that's not to stop people from saying, well, I'm an avid collector and I've got all ultra rares. And then the other person says, well, I've also got all ultra rares. These are the types of things where you would assume that you'd have these guys with the headsets on the Saturday Night Football saying, well, Bob, we're here to watch this will be like streamed and like esports
Cogs.
Exactly.
The only ultra rare tournament. Yeah.
And then some degens will do ultra rares for commons or some crazy stuff.
Exactly. You have like your Daniel Nagaris with the glasses, the black sunglasses and the hats, like in a poker tournament. They'll have sweat dripping down their brows, and it'll be, you'll have the shakes up before you
breaking out the slammers.
Yeah, you've got like carbon in your hand from the slammer. It'll I don't know how that stuff will play out, and this is something that will evolve. I mean, back in the days of the schoolyard, it was just, if I lost, I could always just whack you in the face and take my cog back.
Yeah.
But in the world of the wacky world of the internet and everybody's watching, it'll be super interesting to see how this stuff plays out. But with tournaments, we've already got a partnership with a company that has 1 million monthly average users, and it's a mainstream gaming platform, and it just has lots of idle games and HTML games, and they're just introducing tournaments and prizes. So we've now got a chance to go across and actually take one of our games to be a major tournament game there.
Wow.
And then what happens is they can win NFTs, come across, and then we're bringing in users, wallet registrations, and people coming in to claim COG prizes.
Wow. Yeah, I heard that earlier today, and I thought that was amazing. What do you think about that, Mike? Doesn't that sound cool?
It sounds super cool, man. I want to play for pink slips for sure.
Well, the cool thing about Kogs is that they've got some really cool art on them too. Like, you should see these things.
Do.
My favorite is the time traveler, and you can see smoke coming off of his arm there. Like he's coming out of the DeLorean. It's just really cool.
Yeah,
the cyberpunk ones are rad.
obsessed with time travel.
Are you?
I've actually, I think it's like, out of all the conspiracy theories and weird things in the world, I think time travel, I've seen every time travel movie or documentary or anything. I think it's just a fascinating concept. But right back from the early Twilight Zone episodes, but that character is 100%. The first thing I did was collect the series, all the different borders of the Time Traveler.
Oh, did you?
Not for,
Nice.
Yeah, not for any other reason than the fact that it just resonates and it looks great.
Yeah, it does.
So what's the deal? What's the deal with all these Easter eggs, Benny? Like all you guys are like staring at Kogs with like 300x zoom. Like, is there a reason for this? Are they crazy?
Yeah, well,
what's going on
it's
here?
a good question. It's a good question. We've sort of we're much the believers of, like, when I was a kid, they had like Where's Wally? That was about as technical as things got, right? So you'd have a book and it would have a million characters, and then you'd have this one little dude with a red and white striped top. I think he was Canadian or something. And what would happen is you'd have to try and find this dude in a million other people, and you'd stare at pictures for hours, and they'd have some sort of fascination about them, and they'd be whimsical, and it was part of your childhood.
Where's Waldo? Where's Waldo is what you're talking about, right? Yeah, hell yeah.
Exactly.
I remember that.
So you'd sort of go, well, when we were kids, you used to stare at stuff. Now, these days, you see a piece of art and you go, unless it's got an explosion in the background or fire or flames bursting out of it, it can't grab people's attention. So we thought not only should the art stand alone and should look good by itself, but we're not big believers in just saying there is Easter eggs. We'd rather just say, someone come back and say, holy crap, you know what? I was staring at something for a while and I noticed that there's a code in there, or that there's a doorway there, or let's just say that people will be discovering stuff in the sets for a very, very long time. But the Easter egg that we did announce and we've been talking about is a series of tasks or trails, and the first one's just started to be cracked now. I noticed that, I think last night someone cracked the first part of it. It leads to, we've explained Bitcoin, a Bitcoin address, Bitcoin. They each lead to different things.
Interesting.
Yeah, so what you've got to do is go
How
on the
much
journey.
Bitcoin?
How
much Bitcoin's in there?
It's a significant amount.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Mike's gonna buy some Kogs now.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I need that account.
The thing is that they all require you to go into a number of the different cogs and to do a certain number of different things. And you'll notice that, people looked at the cog of me with a magnifying glass now and said, hey, what does that actually mean? They do mean things. And as we'll explain later with different Easter eggs, that I'll be looking at something that is then something else that you go to, that then takes you to something else, then takes you to something else, and you'll get through a series of it, and you'll end up with something significant. And people could take 2 years for some of these to be solved. It could take 2 minutes. But the fact is that the idea of it is to keep people occupied, entertained while we're waiting for the delivery of the game. And we want to make this fun to look at for a long, long time.
So there is actually something there, not just a dog chasing its tail. There is something there.
Absolutely.
Cool. Good to know.
Some of the Easter eggs are very hard and they're a little bit technical and they involve a little bit of math, and others are just sort of word-based. So what is the word that comes from this particular cog? So you mentioned Time Traveler, for example.
I know the date is there.
Yeah, there you go. So there'll be a word associated to that particular date, and that word, once typed in correctly, will give you a clue, which will take you to the next cog, which will take you to the next, and then give you a prize. So there is, we'll release those at a particular time. So you'll go in and actually have something that you can enter words into, and that'll be a cool chase around the cogs to try and unlock the prize.
Cool. What's the timeline for the game look like?
We just released that yesterday. So what we, being perfectly honest, we'd actually built a game fully, as we'd said on Komodo, and it was in testing. What we've actually been able to do and discover as of yesterday is that we are able to have a version of the game we can actually build and deploy on wax, which will make people very happy by Christmas. So that means that we can. It's not like we're going to, we sat down and thought about this really seriously and thought, okay, we've got the bridges back to the original game, and we've got the current plans in place, but then you've got your wax NFT, and then we turned around and said, if it's going to take us 2 years to rebuild this or to build it on, or a version of it on wax, then let's not have these conversations. But when we sat down and worked out, actually, we can gain some efficiencies over here. We can also have fast to run, same NFT protocol. And we turned around and said, what's that timeline looking like? Not only did we establish that we can bring it out by Christmas, we can actually already start thinking about Edition 2, Game 2, Game 3. So we put out a roadmap now, and now we're madly working towards making sure that we've got a fantastic Slammer game by Christmas. And that will coincide with Edition 2. And the reason it coincides with Edition 2 is people will need to come and buy Kogs, and we hope that by then we've got a lot more interest, and the first edition doesn't have enough Kogs for people to be playing, not en masse. So the whole idea of Edition 1 was supposed to be a collector's set that gives and keeps on giving. And yeah, I can explain what I mean by that.
Cool. Yes, so I got a little sneak peek of that this morning, talking about rewards if you own the first edition Kogs. So that's a very interesting concept. I think it's familiar in crypto, especially in the proof of stake space.
Yep.
So did you want to talk? Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So 100%. So what happens is we're going to be introducing, there's something quite big about to be announced, but we're going to be introducing staking and rewards. But for example, if you've got like, and I'm not trying to encourage people to go and get this, I'm just giving you an example. If you've got like a superset, now a superset is every picture with the same border type. So if you've got a ultra rare set, it would be all the ultra rares in the collection, and you might have a jeweled earth border. So you've gone through and got the jeweled earth border. So that's 10 different artworks. Then you've got the Satoshi Slammer and the 8-ball Slammer also with the same border. So that's called a superset. So what the supersets do is, and different sets and collections do, is unlock tournament access or game access to you at different levels. We've said weapons and skins in future games. But what would happen, for example, if we do a superset tournament and only people with supersets can play for free, or paying people can come along and pay into those tournaments with big prizes. Now, the people that have the superset might say, I don't want to be in the tournament. I've got no fascination with that. I'm a collector and I want to just lock them up. So say, for example, that the tournament fee was $100, and people were saying this is a big tournament, and the person who has the superset can say, well, I'm not using them, so I'm effectively going to stake them. So that person can come along and take bids, and I can say, I'll give you $80, and then that way I can get into the tournament cheaper.
So you can lease the cog to them?
Exactly right.
Cog leasing.
So you've got, so there's but that's not all. That's
I think I'm going to FOMO here for a sec, and then
I'm gonna buy some Kogs right now.
The thing is that when we make the proper announcement with the full rewards and how the system works, the people that are actually holding Kogs from first edition are going to get richly rewarded. And the idea of that is to say, thank you for the early adoption. Thank you for coming in, recognizing something early and ahead of the trend. And you know, people that are new to collecting, this is a big thing for them. They're saying, hang on, there's 3,414 different combinations, and why is there so many confusing borders? And you know, we sat down for 18 months, and people said, if you sat down and talked about this for 18 months, where's a guide? Where's the thing that tells you what a set looks like and how to complete it and all the rest of it? But we sat down with some pretty experienced people, and they said the joy of people understanding what a set is, the joy of people understanding that, you know what, jagged edge slammers aren't the cool thing. The cool thing's actually these black and red combination borders that are in commons that are $1,000 each because you can't get them and everybody wants them. Let the public decide what's cool. Let the public decide what has the most value. And for me, coming from a turnaround background, I couldn't understand that concept. I was like, no, you have to go out with a structured thing. A playbook has to be very clear, decisive. Right. This whole going and saying, we've got a really complicated set with a lot of work and effort and thought that's gone into it, but we didn't think about actually explaining the sets in an easy to understand guide. I don't understand that, but now I do. Now I get it. We've got a community of people coming in and saying, what's the significance of a pineapple border, and is it
Right.
better than a jeweled earth border, and what does it actually do?
And there's no answer to that, right?
Exactly. So it's
a lot of that's personal preference too, right?
Exactly,
Like just what you like.
Exactly. So for example, a foil version of a Bitcoin, so the Bitcoin foils, they're selling for, on the market now, the asking price starts at about $500 US. Now, that doesn't have any, it's in the same set of other cogs that are going for $100 for the foil version. So why? Is it because of crypto people? Is it because people think that more crypto people are going to come in and Bitcoin will be sought after? Is it because people love Bitcoin? We never went out there with professing to have all the answers to what would be popular. And I learned a very valuable lesson, and that is build something that looks great and build the quality behind it, and let the people that are using it decide and dictate what is has the most intrinsic value.
Yeah. Like somebody can have a crush on Artemisa, right? And then all of a sudden bid her up.
Exactly. So yeah, we've got people like, we've got a guy in our group that's a great guy, and he's heavily involved in Splinterlands, and he collects moons, and he's got like this massive moon collection. I think he's got about 80 odd moons. Everybody's got a favorite, and everybody's got something they like more than everything else, and that's what they collect.
That's cool.
Cool.
You talked about the staking and a couple of the things that you had released today or yesterday on the roadmap. Is there anything else you want to mention about that?
Yeah, it's hard to mention a lot more about it without actually making the big announcement. What we're doing is we're just sort of getting all of the infrastructure in place before we go out, because when we do announce this, it's going to cause a little bit of panic, but in a good way, hysteria. And so what we want to do is make sure that we can answer all of the questions, and that we've got places to point people to. Now, when you're going out with border types and collections and sets and all the rest of it, because we did things like the micro set, we've got an egg, a hatching egg, and a fox. It's a micro set within a set. Now people said, well, hang on, one's common and one's uncommon and one's rare. The border types don't match. How do I collect the set? It's so there's certain things you can go out and say they don't need any structure, but an announcement like we're going to make, that's not one of those things that you sort of just throw out and say, let the public decide. This is something that has to be very structured. So we're just getting the regulatory and the compliance side of things right, so that we can go out, whack it out there, and then it's got all the answers, and there's no confusion about this particular thing. So we anticipate that it will be within about 2 weeks, definitely before the end of the month. The other thing that I can say for sure and certain is by the end of the month, we'll actually do a full brand release and launch of RedFox games, to show that we're committed to the vision of producing multiple games for these cogs to be played in. So that'll be a full website, logo, branding release, and all the rest of it. And then with that will come the big announcement as well, to show that it's a long-term thing. It wasn't just a collection of art on a circle.
Cool.
Tell us about the people who collect cogs out in your part of the world. Like so far, Mike and I are used to GPK, which is mostly North American audience, and you guys have like a sort of almost global audience, right?
Yeah. So I think that we've got it for a couple of different reasons. So the first series was very much sort of in the true Pogs tradition of, let's make it a little bit of everything. So we've got a whole heap of different artists to come in and do different art. So some people like the Cyberpunk series, some people like Space Military, old school people like the 8-bit. There's different things for different people. There's 80s, there's 90s. So that attracted a lot of nostalgia. So at the moment, we've just got curious onlookers coming in from around the world saying, what is all this about? And hey, man, you reminded me for 10 minutes of what it was like to be a child when the world was easy and not complicated, and there was no COVID and all the rest of it. So the nostalgic part of it's been good, and that's brought in people globally. But now we've got people coming in and saying, hey, for second series, it has to have a heap of anime in there, and has to be the Korean anime, not the Chinese anime or the Japanese anime. It has to be. So that sort of makes you think, okay, well, that's something that we can do and something we can bring in. But ultimately, what it does to have a global audience is it means that obviously more eyeballs. The partnership that we have is for a platform in Southeast Asia that's just now expanded into South America. So that'll be a big part of the audience as well going forwards. But I think the most important thing is that we have to be making concepts and things that are applicable to anybody, because it is borderless, just as Pogs was. So we've got to be very mindful of the art, the gameplay, the style, and everything that's brought in. But at the moment, we've got a collector's audience and a few gamers who are waiting for the game to come out. Once the game comes out, we're going to get gamers that start becoming collectors. So that's going to be a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing the game and playing it too. It's funny because I didn't buy a lot of Cogs, but I've had friends that have wanted to trade items for them. So I'm just like, yeah, sure, I'll take some Cogs. So I do have a few in my.
Oh, that's good. But I think the thing is that with Edition 2 and beyond, the whole idea of it is to be a lot more like Magic the Gathering, meaning that you've got cheaper packs. They're much more accessible. You can go into a marketplace and then for a period of, for example, 3 months, I can go into a marketplace and know that Edition 2 is not on some sort of fire sale and I have to rush and put my credit card and my wax in within an hour. Otherwise, I can never get game pieces and never play. The whole idea of this is to make sure that for a period of 3 months, they're cheap, it's unlimited in supply, buy them and play, and then at the date of the next release, there's no more of that edition. So they'll be cheaper, but your foil Satoshi equivalent, so your Black Lotus type of, or Black Orchid Lotus type of thing, will be more sort of 1 in a million like it is in the larger collections. The first series was supposed to be a rare, a limited collector's edition that will be revered for in time as being, this was the quality set that everybody wants to get a piece from.
Yeah, this release, I think it kind of threw everyone for a loop because we hadn't seen a 3-hour style before, and so a lot of people kind of thought, we're going to have a lot of supply and then the market's going to suffer, but then all of a sudden it's like there's only 10 of each of these, or maybe more, but it's not a lot. They're all pretty rare. And it was funny because the first day it seemed like everyone just was kind of just like, what do we do with this? And then there was a bunch of low prices, and then people started scooping, and the next thing you know, it just started going crazy, and everyone's like, what? We thought these things were going to be cheap, and now they're blowing up. What's happening here? And packs started taking off, and so it was quite a lot of excitement around it.
Actually, the big stuff up and screw up, as you know, was the pack opening, and that kind of actually has come back and been the biggest blessing that we could have had. Now, it's a cock up, and we don't like that type of stuff. But long story short, the code didn't allow us to be able to open the pack safely. So people started putting up memes of, they've used Namecheap and they've done this and they've done that. We hadn't pointed to the AWS that we were using because the packs wouldn't open, and we thought, we can't let people go across there, try and open it, and be stuck in a loop and can't get their pack open and say what's going on, and the mints going past me. So we saw a very, very heavy influx of money in the first 5 minutes, and we thought, oh my gosh, this thing's going to explode. And if people could have opened their packs, we've been told there was a lot of people sitting on the sidelines with a lot of wax. We know at least 1 or 2 accounts that had more than 100K and were saying, I'm going to scoop up as many as I can get, and said, I'm only buying 3 packs until I can open it and see what it looks like. And because a lot of people hadn't seen the art yet, they were like, I don't even know if there's anything good in here, so I'll wait until I can open it. Had they been able to...
I heard. Yeah, I heard a lot of people sat around just kind of going like, do I want to do like, oh, the pack thing's not working, I'm unsure. Like, so I think it did limit supply quite a bit as well.
For sure. A lot of people have given thumbsucks and projections, and you'll never know, but they were saying based on the rate that it opened up and where it could have gone in 3 hours, you should have done closer to 500,000 cogs.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard that too.
But that would have been too many in the market, I reckon. So I think that the market amount that's come out, I think that...
What is it, around 200K or so?
Sorry?
It's about 200K or so?
Yeah, yep, right around 200K. So I think what happened is the Cog gods turned around and said, you know what, let's keep it how it is.
Yeah.
Let's keep it at a really good supply, and for some strange reason, it's turned out to be in everybody's favour. Now that people know what the art is, and by the time the second set comes out, there'll be a game ready. I think what you'll see is, as I said, you'll see a lot more demand for the cogs. It'll bring in a much wider audience. And what we'll do at that point is make it much more accessible for people to come in, much cheaper price. And you'll realise from minute one, every future edition, commons are not worth anything. They're not supposed to be worth anything. They're common. They're supposed to be played and lost and traded. And they're like the sock that gets lost in the washing machine every time you dig socks. So no one really...
Except for mid number ones, I guess.
Yeah. It's not like they're going to be looking around under their bed sheet saying, I'm sure I had a common here somewhere. But the thing is that's how it's supposed to be designed. But then you're going to get this one, like, you know, it's like the best toy that you get in your Lucky Charms packet, and you say, this one's going in the vault. So there'll be that rare nugget that you find that's worth a fortune that everyone's trying to get. But the idea of it is to play and to trade and to risk and to swap, not as a you're not buying it to try and unearth the hidden gem. Some people.
Do you guys have any marketing plans that they're going to roll out anytime soon?
Yes. So that'll very much ramp up towards the game release, and obviously having someone like Art and having a well-known game designer in our den. This helps with influencers and your streamers and all the people that are big into the gaming side of things. We've been able to get onto a couple of the traditional gaming streamers and say crack a pack, and they've done that. And actually took a couple of boosters on it. One guy got a Satoshi foil booster or something, and it was like it was a perfect timing for it to happen. It looked like wouldn't look like it was engineered or something. It was so cool.
Rigged.
But most of these guys will not talk about stream or do anything until they've got a physical game that they can actually play. So once the game's done and ready for market release, those guys will say, okay, let's crack a pack and now let's use it in the game, and this is how it works, and this is what it does, and this is how it plays out. But they're not going to start talking about and talking up something if there's nothing to see and there's nothing to validate or back it up.
That makes sense.
For sure.
Benny, can you talk about you talked about Artlegger a little bit. Can you talk about who he is, and also a bit about your team as well at RedFox Labs?
Yeah, sure. So Artlegger's most famous for H1Z1. So it was one of the very early Battle Royale games. So for those people who don't know about it, it's got millions of players and has had over the years. And what happens is you basically parachute into an arena or an area, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller as time goes on. You've got to make your way in towards the middle and grab weapons, and it's the last man standing. So it's every man for himself. You've gone into a place that gets smaller and smaller, and that's the whole battle royale theme. So he's had a lot of experience and worked for these big gaming companies and designed games for mass for millions and millions of people. So he's got his finger on the pulse. He understands the collectible side. He understands loot boxes and crates and gameplay and mechanics and engagement and levels and rewards. So just an amazing person to have with us. And then we've got the rest of the RedFox Labs team is very much mixed in their skills, because we're a venture builder. we build, we're a DBOT company, so we design, build, operate, and transfer. We come up with a concept and an idea using a funnel system. We then design it, build it, start operating it, and then we transfer it to people that are much better in those particular areas than we could ever be. So, for example, we launch RedFox games now, and now we will look for people that are much more experienced in the gaming industry to come in and say, right, someone who is X, such and such company, a big gaming company, whatever's coming in to put a bit of injection of what comes next, and to get bigger players involved, and to get better quality games out. Now that the proof of concept is there. So we've got my co-founder Glenn. He's got a very mixed background, starting from studying in the finance and the commerce side, right through to doing a lot of digital marketing and a lot of online. He's a digital nomad and worked around the world. And we've got mechatronics and robotics engineer that's joined us from Austria, and he's been with us for a year working on the game and learning the whole blockchain side of things as well. We've got writers, we've got artists, we've got community managers, we've got people from all around the world that have sort of banded together to sort of say, we believe in this vision and we believe in this idea and we believe in where this is actually going. And now we're getting more and more interest and more people that are wanting to join and hearing about the next projects that are coming out as well. So we've got a fairly strong background in crypto, all of us. We've also got, obviously I'm not very young, a long background in traditional corporates and multinationals as well. So we've got an understanding of where this movement's going to go and where it's going to end up, and what needs to be implemented for that to happen. But we don't profess to be experts in every of the industries that we delve into, but the idea is to get something up, prove the concept, prove that it works, and then bring in the people that are the heavyweights to run those.
It's cool. And I actually heard that Ho Chi Minh, which is where your headquarters are at, is a hot kind of spot for innovation and software in Southeast Asia.
Yeah. It's actually rated number 3 for technical competency globally, because they have about 100,000 engineers come through, computer programmers and IT graduates come through university every year just in Vietnam. So the numbers are massive, and there's been lots of documentaries and stuff done on it and stuff written about it. But I think it was Google, the person's come over to Vietnam and found out that that a lot of the year 11 students in Vietnam can pass the Google entry test. You're talking about...
That's crazy.
They're in it early. They're obsessed by it. But the sad part about it is a lot of the guys here that graduate have to go to America or overseas to get good opportunities and good roles. So the talent's regarded as being very highly regarded and sought after. And what we're saying is, hang on, we should be setting up in a place like this. If we're serious about tech, we're in a fast-growing region. We're Aussies. We should walk the walk and talk the talk. We should move over there. It doesn't matter if it's hard to do business. Let's get set up, structured. Let's be where we need to be for the expansion and growth. And let's try and build something that not only everybody that works here is proud of. Let's make it that Vietnamese graduates are saying, I need to get a job at RedFox Lab so I can stay in this country, I can do cool stuff in the region, and I can still have a cool job and not have to go overseas. So we want to leave a very strong footprint where we are in this region as being providers of awesome jobs and opportunities.
I love it.
That's awesome, because so many people go in and just steal the talent they need and bring it to wherever they want to locate, right? So it's awesome that you guys are supporting that local economy instead.
Yeah, that's the whole concept. The concept is to actually, people say, I'm in crypto for the tech, and then they go, damn, my portfolio is down by 8% today. And
I'm in the red.
We'd say we're in it for the tech as well. We're here because we believe tech can disrupt legacy industries, but we're also not stupid. We understand that the tech doesn't do anywhere near as much as people are telling you it does yet. That they say they understand exactly what it's going to do as well. No one knew what the internet was going to do. They thought it was a good way to send emails or whatever, and it's changed the way we communicate. So no one knows where blockchain's going to end up, but we do know that it is going to have a significant impact on disruption in the way we do things, and it's definitely changed the way we think about things. So we're saying...
I would say that's already happening too, right? That's underway now.
Exactly. So we're just saying we're here, we're in the right place, with the right people in the right time, in the right region, doing the right things, building digital and internet companies, where it's up to us to screw this up.
Yeah. How's the food out there?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I want food.
The food is like next level, because it's so much fresher. Like when you're in Australia growing up as a kid, you go, oh, I'll eat Chinese food tonight. And then you have Chinese food and you think, oh, I love Chinese food. Then you go to China and eat real Chinese food and you go, these Chinese people don't know how to make Chinese food. Because you're used to
Same with Japanese people. You're just like Americanized rolls or whatever, right? Or I guess Australianized Chinese food. Like
Japanese food has a California roll. And you're like,
exactly. That doesn't exist there.
Exactly. So you go to Hawaii and you say, I want a Hawaiian pizza. And they go, sure, what do you want? And you go,
what do you want on it?
And they go, sure, we are Hawaiian. What do you want on it?
We don't have any pigs on the island, guys.
You go ham and pineapple.
Ham and pineapple.
Ham and pineapple. We say that's a
Spam and pineapple. Exactly. They don't have ham, they have spam.
Spam.
Exactly. So I think the food here is very fresh, a lot of vegetable-based stuff, but lots of like fresh spring rolls that aren't deep fried, and a lot of noodles with, like pho, and a lot of beautiful, clean food that's extremely cheap and delicious, extremely good tasting, and it's probably one of the best of the Southeast Asian, definitely one of the best of the Southeast Asian cuisines for sure. You could never get sick of eating it.
Yeah, it's one of my destinations for sure. I don't like to travel that far, but I would go to Vietnam.
I think now, I started coming here 15 years ago for holidays and stuff like that, and it was always cool and exciting and all the rest of it, but it was kind of a massive culture shock, like so many whizzing motorbikes, which is still the case, and loud noises and smells that you don't understand, and crowded, and now it's really turning into a cosmopolitan. It's got the cities look really great. They've got great coffee, world-class coffee shops and restaurants and all the rest of it. But now it's getting to the point where people are starting to really see this as a real, not only a holiday destination, but a place they want to move to. So
and beaches.
Oh, amazing beaches! Amazing. Like the one in your background, there's a ton of boats.
Really?
Yes.
Do you guys have any cool crossovers to tease us with coming up?
Oh, you mean like an integration with another NFT there, Mike? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
We do. I think there's been a fair few hints dropped as well. But again, this is how serious we are about it. We would have gone to them and said, and we've gone to a couple of the bigger ones, but one that we particularly targeted, and they immediately were receptive, great people, awesome people, and they want to do cool stuff with us. And the great thing about it is, if we were here just for a short time, we would have made something happen before the sale, because it would have brought in more eyeballs, and it would have brought in money, and it would have brought in attention and all the rest of it. But because what we want to do has never been done, and we're talking about the real nesting, we're talking about the putting something inside of an NFT across a chain and being able to then break it open and get it out and use it, but without confusing the hell out of people. And that's why we didn't rush it. I mean, even the pack opening couldn't get done properly. So the thing is, tech's in the early stages. So we've pushed that back and said, let's do it when it's right. Let's do it when it works. And let's make people sit up and say, holy crap, this is not just some sort of like little collectible art set. These guys are actually trying to do stuff that is complicated and a bit mind-boggling. But that's why when we sat down and said we're going to build the first game with 100% logic on chain, the first question people said is why? Games work fine. Why do you need to complicate it and put it on slow, horrible, slow transaction speed, security risks, flawed code? Why do you have to do that? And we said, because we reckon we can. We reckon we can show that it can work on a mobile, and it will unlock other cool sorts of features and technology and all the rest of it along the way. The idea is not to make a game that changes and disrupts all the other games, but look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin isn't a perfect solution to replacing the fiat system, but it's a real in your face of, hey, look, we've created something. You can't stop it. You can't take it down. And yeah, it might be a bit slow, and people might consider it to be expensive, which it's not, but might be a bit slow, might kill legions of small furry animals to create Bitcoins because of all the electricity you're using and all the rest of it, but you can't take it down. You can't stop it. And it challenges the way you think about money. That's a profound statement. So
not only that, it challenges money in and of itself.
Of course, and we want to come back and say, you guys make awesome games, and World of Warcraft and all these great games, you make awesome games. We are not trying to say that we can do that better than you, but we've got a cool little concept like Bitcoin is to money, of a way to disrupt and to be able to take your stuff wherever you go. And a game can't pull it away from you and just say, we're shutting down World of Warcraft, you've lost 1,000 hours and all your work and all the rest of it. Because guess what? They've got a stake in your game, a piece that they can take with them and use somewhere else. And this is extremely important, that we challenge the way that people think. So other people share the same vision as us. And the good part about it is, I don't care if the game's on Ethereum. I don't care if the game's on Qtum. I don't care if the game's on Neo, because this is the most important part. I've said this a million times. If I'm hot and I go down to the local store to buy a fan, and the dude starts telling me about electricity and how currents work and how it gets into the power point and how AC, DC voltage works, I'm going to say, shut the hell up, dude. Give me a fan. Plug it into a wall. Cool. I don't care what your blockchain is. I don't give a crap how many, if it's proof of stake or proof of work, or you've got a wallet or a staking mechanism. Just give me something that I can use that's better, faster, and cheaper than what I have, and make it so that I don't waste my time. Give me something back for what the time and effort that I put in, and that's all we're trying to do, is create value.
And I think that
Wax can do that very well.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. Well, Ben, it was awesome having you on. I'm all hyped up for Kogs, and I don't know what you think about it too, Mike. You may become a fan now, right?
I think I just bought some.
Well, let's just say this: we had two ways of doing this. We can stay around for a long time, and we can do things the right way, and we can build it slowly. And like you asked about, what about the marketing? We want the product to speak for itself. We want people to want to engage and use it. Or we could have gone down the Justin Sun route and said, let's spend $1 million on marketing and hype, and then try and back it up with something down the track. That's not how we want to operate. And I think it's clear that with the type of artwork that we've got and the type of collection that we've got, it would have been a worthy investment to pump a huge amount into marketing and advertising and do this big hoopla. But if you don't have substance to back it up, you don't have a game to attach it to, and you don't have proper ongoing mechanisms, then you're just a collection and you're going to die no matter how hard you push.
I know you really wanted to take Warren Buffett out to lunch and play Kogs with him.
He'd probably call it rat poison.
Yeah, totally, 100%. And now if you do it now, you benefit Series 1 owners, right? So that's a super bonus for us, which is awesome. And I think that's the biggest thing with the current industry is frustrating that, the bigger corporations don't seem to have as much interest in promoting stuff at the moment, and I'm not sure why that is, but the smaller players are definitely going, and they're doing the work, which is awesome, and that's what we need.
Yeah, well, I get told all the time, and I've had this through my career, people will say, you guys are favouring the people that bought into the first edition, or you guys are favouring the people that found it first and all the rest of it. My answer to that is always going to be, yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. we are rewarding the people that took the time and effort to learn it when there wasn't apps to tell you what set collections look like and what they should be and all the rest of it. And the people that we didn't do it with a whole heap of hype, we found a small group of people that thought this is cool and we want to get into this. Why shouldn't they be rewarded? It's part of being an early adopter. So as I always say, there's chess managers and checker managers, people that see everybody as being equal and the same. And then there's the chess managers who understand that people that contribute more, that get involved more, that help more, those people should be rewarded. And that's exactly how we are. We make no apologies for that. Anyone who contributes, gets involved and becomes part of it gets rewarded. And that's how it should be.
And those are your early supporters, right? You want to have them be winners, right?
Exactly. They're the sneezers. They're the ones that go out and tell everybody else and bring in their friends and bring in and if it's something that they're proud of and they can say, hey, see that little move that you can do on the game? I'm the one who suggested that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the one who gave feedback and that got put in. They listen to me. They know who I am. That's a very powerful mechanism to have in place. Very powerful.
And if anybody wants to catch up with what Ben and RedFox are doing and make those suggestions, I would suggest that you go on to their Discord as well. Ben, do you have, where can we reach the site? Where can we reach you guys?
Yeah, so Discord's the best place to go for 100% sure. We want to try and really focus the longer term gaming community, and that's where gamers are in Discord. So Discord's the place to go. We do a nightly, morning, depends on where you are, 8 p.m. every night, Vietnam time, we do a voice call and we crack packs, we talk about our sets and people come in and ask questions and we give away sneak previews and stuff like that. People say, how come the Discord people get it first? We're looking at doing 2 sessions, one in both time zones because 8 o'clock's 6 o'clock in the morning on the west coast over there, I believe. So
yeah, I'm sleeping.
Yeah, we're looking at doing 2 different time slots, or at least recording it so that it's. So we're working on that method, but that's the way to get us. We want to make sure that everybody's driven to the same place. So we want to make sure that that Discord's the place to catch us.
Okay, and how can people reach you on the web so that they can find these channels?
Yeah, sure. So there's a Kogs.gg site, and there's about to be what we talked about earlier. There's about to be an RedFox Games proper site and ecosystem and all the rest of it launched. So we're trying to make it a little bit. You have to kind of go here at the moment, but then when RedFox Games launches later this month, it'll be a much more of a whole ecosystem where you can follow us through the websites and all the rest of it.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Mike, did you have any last things?
I think that's it for me. Yeah, thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure to talk to you for sure. And I learned a lot.
Thank you very much for having us, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Benny. Bye.
Thanks, Benny.
Thank you.